Hello and welcome into the Remix. I'm Brianna Pitts. It's the holiday season and nothing says Christmas like a 74-foot Norway spruce. For the first time since the 50s, New York's Rockefeller tree will be from Massachusetts. It's a tree from Stockbridge that's heading to the Big Apple. And as CBS News Boston photojournalist Terry McNamara shows us, there is a heartwarming story behind this tree planted way back in 1967.
Okay, Marie, you ready to cut it? It's a big, beautiful tree. As I was coming down the road over here, I saw it in front of me and I knew it was the right one.
My wife and I have been here since 1966. We planted it a year after I was married.
Frosty the snowman.
Watched it grow. I used to decorate it every year.
And then down the streets of town, right to the traffic stop.
Well, town's famous now.
Thumpity thump thump over the hills of snow.
It's a gorgeous landmark, but it's going to have a new life in Rockefeller Center for the holidays.
My wife, Leslie, would have loved it.
Oh, Christmas tree,
Well, it is emotional, but it's wonderful, too.
Goodbye, tree.
I'm going to be down there for the tree light. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
I was just getting some sawdust from the tree to kind of remember my mom and remember the day. It's a gift to the world. It's not something that we're taking away, it's something that we're giving.
It's a great tree, it's a great family, and it's a great place.
Merry Christmas.
My grandson will have his first tree lighting, and it'll be the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. That was his great-great-grandmother's.
Well, I'll see you in New York.
Well, the holiday season is kicking off in New York City, and you could see a hometown hero performing with the Radio City Rockettes. 24-year-old Avery Ambrief grew up in Boxford. She started dancing at the age of 2, training in all kinds of dance. And as she told our Paula Eben, when she was 12, she had a life-changing moment when she got to spend some time with Radio City Rockettes.
I was first introduced to the Radio City Rockettes when my family took a trip to New York City, and I was able to attend a Rockettes experience here at Radio City Music Hall. In that hour-long class, we learned a few different pieces of Rockette choreography, and from that day, it was decided I wanted to be a Radio City Rockette. Growing up, I wasn't always the most talented dancer in the room, but I always had the passion and the love for dance. So thanks to my teachers and to the programming that's offered through Radio City, such as the Rockettes Conservatory, I was able to really hone those skills and work my way to performing on the great stage.
Avery told us this was her 3rd time trying out for the Rockettes and wanted her message to be clear. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Well, if you are planning a trip for the holidays or maybe early next year, it may be a good idea to take your time when you get there. It's slow travel. Travel journalist and host of PBS's Curious Traveler, Christine Van Blokland, is in Italy explaining how this travel trend can help your trip be even better.
Hi everyone, and ciao from Italy. So of course in Italy we have Rome, we have Venice, we have Florence, which are all busy, busy, busy cities. And of course Italy is home to my favorite thing on the planet, the espresso. Mwah! That gets you going real fast. But Italy is also the perfect place to talk about the slow travel and slow tourism trend. Because did you know that slow travel and the slow food movement all started right here in Italy? So I have a couple of tips for you today to help you make your travels a little slower, which will make your travels a whole lot better. So tip number 1 is do less, enjoy more. And here's how it works. I know it is very tempting to say, hey, I'm only going to be in Europe once. I have to do 2 days in Paris, 2 days in Switzerland, 2 days in Italy. Instead, I know this sounds crazy, pick one city or even one village or maybe 2 and spend your entire week in that place. And I promise you will enjoy it more. And then once you're there, don't overschedule yourself. Maybe kind of have your itinerary very loose one where you have one activity in the morning, whether it's one museum, one historic site, one beautiful gardens, or maybe one walking tour, and then leave your afternoons open. That way you can wander around, and especially if you had a walking tour in the morning, you have a nice overview of your new city or village, and then you can go back and see the things that you really enjoyed and go at a slower pace. Also, this should be my number 1 rule, leave room for discovery, whether in Florence or Siena Siena or Milan or anywhere in Italy, I did a lot of touring in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I literally just wandered around and I discovered the most wonderful things. In Siena, they have this treasured tradition called the Palio, which is basically a horse race. And actually throughout the year, they have different celebrations. So just as I was wandering around on a Sunday, I saw this entire street closed off because they had all these long tables. Everybody was wearing a light blue scarf because they were celebrating their neighborhood, their district, their horse for that upcoming race. So you never know what you might discover if you just relax and kind of wander around. Tip number 2, and I know we hear this all the time, but I don't think we do it enough, immerse yourself in the local culture. So what does that mean? Learn a little bit of the language before you go. Doesn't matter really that much. No one's going to expect you to be fluent, but at least try. So that shows that you have a respect for the place that you're visiting. Also, try as best as you can, maybe not to just stay in the chain hotel, but go to a B&B, maybe an agriturismo, and they can advise you on all the real places to go to and not the tourist traps. And depending on where you are, in Florence, you can take an art class, maybe a pasta making class, one of my favorite things to do, and you don't even have to be religious. I like going to the church service. So here in Italy, of course, the services were all in Italian, but I absolutely loved it. You can listen to the music, you can kind of listen along to the cadence, you might recognize some of the prayers, and I actually even had my phone and did Google Translate along with the program, and I had a wonderful time, and I felt like I was really a part of the community, at least for that hour or so. Tip number 3, when you're being a slow traveler and participating in slow tourism, you're being kinder to the environment. So as best you can, I know you have to take a plane to get over here, but once you're here, instead of doing those little short flights, maybe take a train. And then once you're within the city, don't take a taxi everywhere, don't drive everywhere, walk, because when you walk, you will find your discoveries. And if you're an outdoorsy type, you can bike, and there are wonderful bike tours you can do. And you can also include the beautiful national parks in your itinerary. So this tip I call silly but true, and it's a little bit more about immersing yourself in the local culture. So it might not be a cultural experience to go to the grocery store, to go to the laundromat, to go to the post office, but I tell you what, these have been some of my best memories because you're just doing something normal. And I love going into the grocery stores. I don't speak all the different languages of all the different countries I go to, and you kind of see the different products that they have. And it's fun to kind of guess, like, wait a minute, is this cooked tofu or what is this thing? And you'll see crazy things. I remember in Austria one time I saw that they had sauerkraut juice, instead of orange juice, sauerkraut juice. Why not? Also, going to a local market is absolutely fantastic. You're going to see all kinds of different cheeses. So next to espresso, cheese is my favorite thing on the planet. So try to find those as much as you can. I came across a wonderful little antique market, and they were doing a fundraiser for the local church. And I got the best souvenirs that you really are not going to find in the souvenir shops. My last tip, and this is going to be a tough one, let's all please, as a united community, chill out with the photos. Wherever you go, people are crazy going, photo, 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 photo. And I know it's tempting because we can take as many as we want. And oh wait, my hair didn't look good in that selfie and all that stuff. So here's my challenge to you. Whether you're in a museum and you're finally seeing the Mona Lisa or the Birth of Venus, or you're on a Tuscan hilltop and you see this gorgeous village below, here's my tip and my challenge for you. Try to just not touch the phone for 5 minutes. If you can make it to 10 minutes, even better. Take it all in, absorb it, visualize it, look at it, and then try to just take the one perfect photo. Because A, you're going to save yourself the hassle when you get back home, and then you have to go through all the photos. But also, you're really enjoying the moment. You're really taking it all in, and that's what slow travel is all about. So I hope these tips help you to slow down, wander, and take it all in and enjoy, because a slow traveler is a happy traveler.
When we come back on the remix, a look at the legacy of an atomic titan on the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. Fans explain the impact of this king of the monsters and why he is not going away anytime soon. Well, we are celebrating the 70th anniversary of this guy, the king of the monsters, Godzilla. Over 7 decades, this behemoth of the big screen has seen it all. And even as fans revere the past, they are still hungry for more.
It's been 70 years of Godzilla. From this to this. Since 1954, Godzilla has been roaring up on the big screen. It all started in Japan with the movie co-written and directed by the legendary Ishiro Honda for Toho Films. The first film, a metaphor for the destructive power of nuclear weapons, years after atomic bombs were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. It was later dubbed in English and shown to American audiences.
So I've loved Godzilla since I was 7 or 8 years old. I remember seeing the first film, lying on my stomach on the blue shag carpeting in my parents' bedroom, watching the big old wood grain TV set, Saturday afternoon creature double feature. I fell in love.
William Tsutsui is a well-known author, historian, and fan of Godzilla.
But as a Japanese American, Godzilla was more than that for me. He was also an ethnic hero. And for my life, he's been important to me to understand my Japanese identity and to understand Japan's history and the relations between Japan and the United States.
The character grew from a nuclear allegory into a movie monster icon with dozens of ghastly adversaries to choose from.
A lot of people, I think, their parents grew up watching Godzilla movies, like in the 70s, like in drive-in theaters and stuff. And so there's kind of like that relation to it. It's just grown.
Jacob Gilley runs the Kaiju news outlet on Instagram and Twitter.
Almost every movie has a different appearance. Still, you can tell it's obviously Godzilla still, but it's unique almost every step of the way.
For years, Godzilla was a guy in a suit, and it wasn't until 1998 when an Americanized version turned him into a CGI Leviathan. Now Godzilla rules the monsterverse, dominating the box office with his frenemy King Kong, and even winning an Oscar with Godzilla -1.
So the fact that you can have those two, Toho and MonsterVerse coexist, come out a few months apart, and both set box office records, shows me that it's not like, obviously it's not, but I love both coexisting, in short.
And this atomic titan even rules the toy aisle.
Figures, shirts, really everything is. I think that merchandising is one of the big reasons the franchises continue to develop and grow.
Godzilla is silent, so Godzilla never speaks. So it allows the viewers to read their feelings onto Godzilla. You don't see the years passing by. The Godzilla rubber suit can always be remade. So I think Godzilla will always be timely and relevant and popular.
Next on the remix, seeing stars in the city, the major Hollywood players filming right here in Boston, and the fans that came out to see them. Well, shocked and excited. People in Boston elated to see two Hollywood stars this week. Zendaya and Robert Pattinson are filming their new movie in the Back Bay. WBZ's Tammy Mutasso is there and takes us behind the scenes.
It's like a surreal experience.
You just never know who you might see strolling down a busy Boston street.
Oh my God.
Or who you might spy on through the bushes at the Boston Public Garden. The hint that they're superstars is the crowd following them, or the looks of amazement.
We just really like Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, and we just really wanted to get a glimpse of them.
You heard that right. Superstars Zendaya and Robert Pattinson in Back Bay making movie magic for their next film, The Drama.
And then we saw Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were not expecting this today.
The bright lights,
so 28,
the men in orange vests, and the long cables taking over the park are what gave it away. These girls were in a movie set.
I feel like you normally think of LA when you think of celebrities and people, but the amount of filming that happens here is actually crazy.
This was Robert Pattinson filming in South Station last week, where Lana spotted him.
I never thought I'd get to see a celebrity in person, let alone in Boston. So, it was kind of mind-blowing.
You might have heard of the epic film Dune. Well, Zendaya starred in that. Or the box office smash hits Twilight Saga. Robert Pattinson was the star there.
He's one of my favorite actors, from Harry Potter and Twilight, so getting to see him was honestly part of a dream come true for me.
For these faithful fans, it's more than just seeing stars. It's being inspired by a role model.
From childhood till now, she's been a really big, huge support to us, like especially as Black women, and especially as a young age, I would say she's been a really big role model.
Of course, the fans are working to find out where they're going to be filming next. We'll try to keep you posted. Reporting in Back Bay, Tammy Matassa, WBZ News.
Well, a world-renowned book that became a musical is now a major motion picture. Next on the Remix, we speak with the author of Wicked, his take on the new film, and why his story is still so important today.
Everyone, I have an announcement.
I have seen it, I have survived it, and I am going to offer testimony about it. It's a wonderful piece.
The writer of Wicked giving his stamp of approval to the highly anticipated movie version of his beloved story. Gregory Maguire has called Concord home for decades, and in that time, the best-selling author has seen his idea move from the page to the stage. And now, as WBZ's Paula Evans shows us, the spotlight is on the big screen.
The fact that the story of Wicked continues to be pertinent 30 years after it was first published shocks me, saddens me a little bit because it's about social ills and political stress, but also encourages me because it means we're still looking for guidance and for comfort.
Let me tell you the whole story.
Author Gregory Maguire fell in love with The Wizard of Oz when he was young, often acting out the scenes with his 6 siblings.
I think that's where imagination begins. I think that's where artists are born too, is in the play that they choose to do in childhood.
One question stuck with him.
Are people born wicked? Or do they have wickedness thrust upon them?
I think the word wicked is so specific and unusual.
The Wicked Witch of the West, in the book it's printed with a capital W. It's part of her name. In fact, that's the only name she has in the original novel. The fact that her wickedness was kind of honored with a capital letter made me think there's got to be something behind the application of this word to a human being, and I need to find out what it is.
His novel, Wicked, as well as the Broadway musical and upcoming movie, explore what happened in Oz before Dorothy arrived.
Even though the plot of the play and the plot of the movie differ a great deal from the plot of my original novel, some of the main points are maintained, and they are the ones that I care the most about.
Something has changed within me.
Maguire spent about a week on the set in London during filming.
It was like being in a dream. It really was like being in a dream.
Did you look at the sets and think, this all came out of my head?
I
thought of this.
I try not to think about that because I think a certain kind of mental instability might follow were I to do this.
The movie is in 2 parts.
I got us tickets.
You coming?
Everyone will be there.
The first half, which comes out later this month, is nearly the length of the Broadway show. Maguire's book provides some of the extra material.
There are little teasers and tweaks that the film writers have done to the plot to pull from my original novel just a few things, but enough to enhance the characterization so that by the time we get to the scenes in the musical that are now well known, we actually know a little bit more about why they're happening.
Just as the original Wizard of Oz film inspired him, Maguire hopes the movie version of Wicked will inspire the next generation.
It will change the trajectories of imaginative children's lives. They will take from it and they will build on it, and I wouldn't be surprised if 40 years from now we see another story that continues to unpack part of what I have created. That's how art works. If people leave the movie theater and feel as if they have been reminded to take a few seconds before making snap judgments about somebody they see who might be offensive or frightening or just different, just othered, if they will do that, then the movie will have done something that the play does and that I think my novel does too.
Wicked is out in theaters on November 21st. Thank you for joining us here on The ReMix. We'll be back next week for more lifestyle, community, and entertainment news.